The dates continue. In a quiet alcove of the Gravity Falls Library and on top of the roof of the shack past midnight. They're simple compared to the production Mabel whipped up for the night of the meteor shower, but Ford seems more comfortable this way, and really so are you. You've learned more about him, but it's like he's still holding something back. In your conversations, it feels less like he spent a year away sailing, and more like he spent half his life in another universe. For instance, during that afternoon at the library, he attempted to print nearly 3 decades worth of academic papers in physics, and you had to remind him about the existence of PDF downloads and USB drives. But whatever past he's hiding, you're not sure you'll ever find out. The magic Stan's worked on your car has rendered it almost operational again, meaning that your time in Gravity Falls is coming to a close, and that today's the last date you'll have with Ford. Rip, Tasha. You won't get to see any of the stuff. Oh, it's the pool. You'll arrive at the Gravity Falls community pool just a minute after sunset. Pinks, oranges, and yellows streak across the sky, like a splash of maple juice. Despite being after hours for the community pool, the front gate is open, thanks Dipper, and you sidle inside, taking the abandoned floaties and the one several times special edition soggy towel on the floor. A few minutes pass before Ford arrives, signalled by his accidental slip on said several times towel and a quiet curse at his clumsiness. Don't worry, I nearly stood on it too. Someone must have left it behind, though maybe for good reason. He picks up the towel between forefinger and thumb, and something sticky drips off deep Chris's forehead. Ford shudders and drops it again. Children and their boy bands. Make sure Mabel's not around to hear that. I'm fairly certain she'd disown you. At least Baba actually had some good songs back in their day. Ford turns to you, and you notice something. His curious expression softens as you stare at him, and he makes his way over to you, tilting his head down in your direction. Goddamn. What are you doing to your dog?
He's jumping at me.
Oh my gosh, wait, I may need you to curse him for being so dang tall and cute, even though, Ford? Yes? You have a California fridge magnet stuck to your forehead. Ford immediately flushes bright red, eyes wide in surprise. Really? Tasha, do I peel it off his forehead, gesture to where it is, or do nothing?
Peel it off his forehead.
Yep, okay. Executive decision. You pull the magnet off his forehead, examine it for a moment, and then lightly tap his nose with it. He flushes a somehow deeper pink, grinning bashfully at you. Ford sits on the edge of the pool and dangles his feet in, having not worn a swimsuit. You have one on under your clothing, but you're kind of nervous to get undressed. Stay dressed? Strip? Or may I, do that thing?
Strip.
Why are you like this?
Strip.
God damn it, I hate you. You shrug and start taking off your clothes, which promptly startles Ford into an even deeper embarrassment. You sit with Ford on the edge of the pool, swinging your legs back and forth in the water. The two of you sit in silence for a moment. Do you go swimming a lot? Me? No. I used to swim a lot as a child, since we lived close to the ocean. But now, not really. Why not? Never had the time, I suppose. I was always so busy with my work that I never realized we even had a community pool until Mabel told me about it. It goes quiet again. Ford's hand skims across the surface of the water, tracing tiny waves with his fingers. He looks to be deep in thought, like something's troubling him. I'm asking him what the matter is. Ford, what's the matter? He looks up at you, wide-eyed and blinking behind his thick glasses. Oh, nothing, just thinking. You stay silent and instead start swirling your finger in the water too, occasionally curling your finger around his. It's an accident, of course. Shifty eyes. Eventually, you both stop messing with the water and leave your fingers linked together, which gradually turns into his hand taking yours, and all of your fingers intertwining, knuckles brushing against the water. Ford swallows. Out of the corner of your eye, you see his face is tinted pink, and it's probably not from the sunset. He seems nervous, more nervous than on your Mabel certified date of dreams, which is strange considering the context. That one was pretty forced. Ford, do you trust me? Oh gosh. The question comes in one breath, out of nowhere. His grip on your hand tightens. What do you say? Yes, of course.
Would it be awesome?
Yes, of course. I'm not sure. Why do you ask?
Yes.
I said yes already. You had no choice in that one. He rubs the back of his neck with his free hand, a small reflexive gesture, 6 fingers dripping beneath the high collar of his sweater. Dipping. It said dipping, it did not say dripping. There are things that I haven't told you yet, things about myself, things I'm not sure you'd like. Of course there's the great Uncle Ford side of things, with what with Dipper and Mabel, but you, don't really know what happened to me while I was studying here 30 years ago. Tell me about it, or when you're ready you can tell me.
When you're ready.
When you're ready. Oh, okay. Ford, you don't have to go into detail about it if you aren't ready. apologize for the dog barking. You...
Stop.
Oh, fine, you're not gonna get it. Sorry about that minor delay. A door slammed and the dog got excited.
Still wasn't open. Okay, Sunshine, I'm busy.
Ford looks down at the water, at his reflection. He frowns, closes his eyes, and thinks for a moment. You've proven yourself to be a good companion, to put it lightly. Of course, the whole dating thing. He blushes. Ford coughs when you start giggling. Well, what I mean is, there's nothing out about you that could do me significant harm. Just wait until I peel off my human skin and become a lizard person. Within the set of species residing on Earth, there exists a race of lizard people, and surely they walk among us, Disco Vampius. That subject is no joking matter. You stare at him, an eyebrow raised. Both of you burst out laughing, the sound echoing around the empty pool, and from the corner of your eye, you notice Ford scooting closer to you. Disco Vampius, you haven't heard of Gravity Falls until you crashed into the shack because of my magnet gun, correct? I read about the shack being a tourist trap in Oregon, but that's about it. Gravity Falls wasn't even on my map. Why do you ask? That's to be expected. Most people don't know about Gravity Falls until they see it for themselves, or do elaborate research on it. Remember when we went hunting for the Mothman, how I warned you about the other creatures that could be found in the woods and around town? I'll never forget our grand adventure. Yes, our adventure. You think back on your first time hanging out and finding the Mothman. You hadn't even known what Ford was like back then. Privately, you almost consider it like a first date. Well, my point was, there are so many more oddities, bizarre creatures, geographical anomalies, secret societies, and strange townspeople. Like I've said before, this unique concentration of weirdness is what drew me to Gravity Falls in the first place, and made it the perfect place to conduct my research. Why was the weirdness centralized to Gravity Falls? Exactly, that's what I wondered. My biggest question during these studies was why? Why was this town so strange? I tried to find an answer, a unifying theory, that would pull my research together and finally grant me success. But I hit a wall in my search. I had no ideas, no leads, with nothing and no one to help me, until I found a being by the name of Bill Cipher. He came to me in my dreams, claiming he was a godly muse, a friend, someone who could do a lot with a little help, and I believed him. Ford continues with a certain bitterness you've certainly never heard in his tone before. I put my unconditional trust in him. I asked for his wisdom, for his guidance, put him on a godly pedestal and worshipped him, even going so far as to litter my house with his image. Did you build the door? What happened to it? Well, when I consulted Bill about my unifying theory, he had told me that my answer lay in another dimension, and that he could help me build a portal to it. Obviously, I built it without hesitation, without thought, and instead of being a doorway to a weirdness dimension, as I'd been led to believe, it turned out to lead to the nightmare realm, Bill's realm. He had tricked me. All he had wanted was to cross into our dimension and model it into his chaotic image. I shut the portal down before his plans could be realized, but it was too late. My mind was in shambles from Bill's influence. I should have ended it. I should have torn the portal down, but I'd put so much into making it work, I hid the instructions for its operation. Instead, I tried to entrust a piece of it to Stanley, but after 10 years apart, Ford pauses, sucking in a deep breath. We fought. In the midst of it all, one of us pushed a button and pulled a switch. The portal was reactivated that day, and I was pulled into it. Can you not growl at your dog while I'm doing this? That's no excuse. He growled at me first. I spent the next 30 years in that portal. Years of searching for the answer to a new question, how to defeat Bill once and for all. But I was pulled back into this dimension, my home dimension, too early, and all this frustration came crashing down. In this tiny town in a grand multiverse, I truly believed I was meant for something more. Bill told me that I would change the world. I never questioned it if it would be for better or for worse. You were doing what you thought was best. At the time, of course, but I didn't realize that... Did I not tell you to stop growling at your dog? Don't pull your baby chihuahua at me. He's trying to bite your hands as we speak. At the time, of course, but I didn't realize the repercussions of my actions would be so catastrophic. Why would you put him on the bed?
Because he just wants to look.
But you did, right? Oh yeah, he's in love with Ford. I'm sorry. Here, Mona, you can look at your boyfriend, but you're gonna have to fight Joe for him. He growled at me. Never mind, I think he's in love with Stan. You're gonna have to fight Ares for him. Did what? Built the portal left. Oh wait, I think I missed something because of the dog. But you did it, right? Did what? Okay, yeah, I did not miss something. Built the portal, left, came back, etc. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. I did, yes, but I didn't do it alone. I was pulled back through the portal by Stanley himself, and Dipper and Mabel, of course. However, because the portal had been reactivated, Bill could enter our world at any time. I destroyed the portal device once and for all, but what was left was an interdimensional rift in space-time, left over from the portal's last operation. It had the potential to let Bill through to our dimension. I contained it, but the rift shattered. Bill entered the physical realm and wreaked havoc on Gravity Falls in an event called the Weirdmageddon. What happened during Weirdmageddon? Tasha, you and Mono better best behave yourselves, or no more boyfriends for you.
In public state, already is my husband.
You're gonna have to fight Ares for him. We've had this discussion.
Yeah, or fucking
I think Ares took him first.
dibs.
You can't call dibs. Ares already did.
Dibs.
Well, Ares fighting
Ares is
Tasha.
just jealous because I have Kiru.
I don't think Ares knows who Kiru is.
Yeah, well, Ares did. Ares would be like, oh my god, I wish I had Kiru.
Mono! I think Mono wants Kiru.
Nah, you didn't wish me.
It was, to put it lightly, the end of the world. That's not putting it lightly. Don't swear on my child-friendly stream! Do you believe this, everyone? Can you believe this? Swearing! Swearing! This is why I shouldn't let you into my videos. Some of us can control our words. Stop playing with your dog. It was the apocalypse, weirdness exploding from every corner, anomalies even I couldn't explain, everywhere. It was all Bill's doing, but... He breathes out, frustrated with himself. It was still my fault. As much as I want to go back on myself and say it wasn't, I still caused the whole thing. I brought Bill here. I helped him with his plan. You didn't mean to cause the end of the world. You made a mistake, all of us do sometimes. You just wanted knowledge about things outside of this world, and yeah, it ended badly, we all mess up. Ford is quiet, but he's looking at you from the corner of his eye. I messed up a lot, you know. We're human beings. Sometimes you hurt someone, sometimes you cause Weirdmageddon, but you didn't mean to do it. But, no buts. You're human, Ford. Even if it was awful and you blame yourself, you didn't falter because of it. You stopped Bill, right? It's all okay now. You live and you learn. Ford nods, squeezing your hand. It was awful and bad, and yeah, you messed up, but it doesn't define you. You're incredibly intelligent and fun to hang around with, and sure, sometimes I don't understand half the sciencey stuff that comes out of your mouth, but that's all part of you, and that makes me like you all the same. Ford finally turns to look at you, and he winds an arm around your shoulders. You scoot closer and complete the hug, draping your arm across his middle and hugging him tight. Thank you for listening to me ramble. It wasn't rambling, it was your life, and I'm very happy to learn more about you whenever you want to tell me more. Ford pauses, thinking, my favorite snack foods are jelly beans. I hate toffee peanuts. Honestly, I kinda guessed the whole jelly beans thing. Ford laughs, and you laugh with him, nuzzling into his chest. You feel him swallow before he presses his lips to the top of your head. I hate everything. Thank you. You're welcome, Ford. He smiles at you a moment longer, and then it falls as he sobers. Don't scream on my child-friendly stream! I suppose I wanted to tell you because you're leaving soon. The acknowledgement that in a matter of days your time in Gravity Falls would be over should feel final, but instead it only feels distant. You sit back, relinquishing Ford's embrace, and he speaks again. Dear Skin Panties, what are you doing after all this? When you get your car back, what will you do? I don't know yet. I'll see when I get there. It would be comforting to think that Ford would still be here in Gravity Falls for summers to come. But you recall that Stan and Ford don't even live on land anymore. They'll be setting sail again, exploring the seas and documenting the oddities of the world. From what you've already heard about it, it's intense stuff that keeps them on the move, and untethered. Oh, Tasha, do I ask Ford what he'll do when summer ends? Ask him if we can stay in touch, or tell him how I feel?
Tell him how you feel.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to possibly read things. Ford. Yes.
Never mind.
There's not. Oh, come on! You got so excited there.
What the heck?
You're a disaster. Never mind, there's nothing, let's just enjoy this. So you do, sunlight starting to bleed between the pine trees as the sun sets on your last night in Gravity Falls.
No. I hate this game.
Love meter! Huh, looks like this is actually working out. Call the caterers! I hear wedding bells!
I hate this game.
Okay, that's the end of that episode.